this type of learning is only going to increase, right? Because we have such opportunity to access a wealth of information nowadays. And my purpose for today is to help you navigate to understand what is the information that will be the most helpful, because you could spend a lifetime doing online learning, and you know, you have limited time, you have the pressure of finding a job. And so I hope that, you know, you can be effective in your decision making and make the most use of your time. If you have questions along the way, as usual, you can enter in the chat, or we can get to them at the end. We'll have some time at the end for questions. Okay, so our topic, as you all know, is mastering, I hope, online learning for specifically for the job search. And I think that what you practice and learn during your job search are skills that you can transfer then to, you know, your next position. Online learning is something that you can continue, and that's why it's not only an investment to find a job, but it's an investment to be what they call a lifelong learner, someone who is just willing and able to take the steps along their career to continually learn and improve. And I think that many of you are already this way, because I have seen so much amazing learning when you know, make your announcements on LinkedIn, and you know, that is really commendable, the time that all of you are spending to do this. So on the agenda, I want to talk about three main things. First, selection. How do you choose the right online courses and certifications that will boost your resume, that will help you in the job search? Nothing is 100%, of course. I know that many people took a course and were thinking, okay, after this course, I will have better job opportunities, and that wasn't the case. So I do want to underline, with any online learning, it's not only the online learning. There's all the things that come in addition to it. Networking, your CV, your LinkedIn, right? Everything around it is still just as important. But of course, taking the time to select the correct course is useful. Secondly, motivation. You know, the silver lining, or the benefit of online learning, is that you can do it anywhere and anytime. The other side of the coin of that is, because it's so flexible, oftentimes we don't manage to do it, or it's difficult to, you know, set aside the time. So we're going to talk a little bit about staying motivated. And then thirdly, integration, meaning how can you take the skills that you learn online and integrate it into all the marketing tools that you use to land a job? Because at the end of the day, that's our main goal of the program, and your main goal, I assume, as well, is to land that job that is in line with your career goals. So we want to make sure that we are making the bridge between the learning and the goal of finding a position. So this looks complicated, but I promise I tried to visualize it to make it less complicated. How can you identify the right online course and certifications? So let's pretend you're brand new and you're saying, okay, I haven't done any online course, or maybe I want to reskill into a new kind of position and I don't know where to start. So number one, you want to ask yourself, what is my main industry? I think that's an easy step. Most of you already know that. Maybe you have two categories. That's fine. Then, you know, you're going to do two separate processes. So identify your industry and identify your job titles or the industry categories, right? What are some position names that you either had in the past or would like to apply to? Based on those two things, we can now go to the next step, which is research. And there's three buckets, I would say, of research that you can go along. I would even recommend doing all of them because the more research you can do, the better. Firstly, researching important certifications or technologies that you should know for that industry. Um, this is very different depending on the industry. There are some industries that are highly technical, if you're a programmer, for instance, or there are other industries that are highly certified. If you're in the medical field, if you practice law, right? Poland specifically will have their own set of certifications, just like in the US or just like in Ukraine. So it's really important to do the research, to speak with your coach about that, to speak with other professionals, maybe other Ukrainians who have also gotten a job in that industry. I think that's a very helpful resource. And Upwardly Global can help connect you to those people. We have alum who were part of our program who have positions, and that's our goal. Also, is to connect you to those individuals. You can also use AI for your research, and I will show you in a moment how. But basically, ChatGPT is a great resource to, let's say, narrow down a normal Google search, right? We're all familiar with Google, we've been using it for years, but ChatGPT can basically just collect the information in a more organized way. So that instead of doing 5 Google searches, you're just having a conversation with ChatGPT. And then thirdly, researching the key skills. So what are the key skills required for those positions that you're applying to? I have talked about this before. The job descriptions are excellent resource for that. Or if you are using LinkedIn, you will see the top skills for different positions. So if you have a system to keep track of those key skills, I would really recommend that because it can help you in many ways, but specifically for finding the correct online courses that are related to those skills. And another part of your research, I think it's like I said before, the job coach understands the Polish job market and definitely include them in this conversation. I would recommend doing your research first and then talking to them, because then you're coming in with very specific questions versus a general question. And after you have done your research, maybe had a conversation with your job coach, you can check out the availability of training courses on our free platforms such as Coursera, Udemy Business, and you can also use groups and associations to understand additional job market trends or in-demand skills, or professional development. So that part also, I will give examples for what kind of groups and associations. Um, Again, your job coach will be a key partner in that because, as you guys know, I'm coming from the US, so I don't know what groups and associations are the most helpful in Poland. But your job coach should be able to give you more guidance on that. And then your last step is to choose an online course or certification to follow. And that will also be based on a few other factors. So the question that all of this whole series of steps leads to is to ask yourself, where are the gaps in my resume or skills or experience, or certain areas of weakness? Or if you want to imagine it, not a weakness, but an area for development, an area for growth. And I just wanted to give you an example of how ChatGPT could help you in exploring, the answer to those questions. So, and again, I'm not a ChatGPT expert, so this may not even be the most direct way to get the information, but it's an example. So I asked ChatGPT, I'm wondering what online courses to take to enhance my employability. And as you can see from this, right, it's not very specific. I'm not saying my industry, I'm not saying any job titles, but I was curious to see what happens when I just give a general request like this. So for the general request, ChatGPT is giving me also a general answer. So they're saying, digital skills is number one. There is a long list that I don't have included here, but it's telling me about digital skills. And what I really like about ChatGPT in this context is that it's actually giving me very specific information on courses. For instance, data analysis, it says Coursera's data science specialization. So what I could do is I can copy paste that into a search engine and I can find that exact course. And then I can research, is that a good option for me or not? So ChatGPT is already giving you even the names of the potential courses, or in this case, the name of the platform. And here we have HubSpot Academy, we have Code Academy, Udacity. So those are all really nice clues for platforms that I could explore more. Now, and here's just a quick reminder of what you're going for when you are giving ChatGPT the prompts. We always want to give context, give it a task, instruction, later on clarify the meaning and refine. So I'm going further into my chat here, and I wanted to narrow down on my specific industry. So I asked ChatGPT, can you provide a recommendation based on my industry? ChatGPT says, of course, could you share which industry you're in or aiming for? That way I can tailor the recommendations more precisely to your field. The word industry and field are synonyms. So you can say recommendation based on my field, or you can also say recommendation based on my industry. It means the same thing. So I'm telling ChatGPT about my industry, about my focus, and also I included what my professional aim, like an idea of what my aim is. Now ChatGPT gave me even more specific information and courses. So they had divided it in different categories. This one happened to be nonprofit management and leadership. And again, I can go in and see, what are additional either pieces of information I want to look into further. Do I want to check Coursera's course? Do I want to look at Harvard University's course? And not all of it will be good information, right? So I know, for example, Harvard University has very, very expensive courses. I don't want to spend over $1,000 on a course. So for me, I already, rule this out. But it's giving you the information for you to sort through. My next question, which was going to get even more specific, I want to know, are there any recognizable certifications I could earn to increase my employability? ChatGPT already knows my industry now because I already shared it. And so I don't have to reshare that information. And what I mean by recognizable certifications means that it is well known in the industry. Certain, let's say, certifications or requirements are well known. And in this case, right, I'm learning because I didn't know about these certifications. So the research that you do about courses is more broadly also teaching you a little bit more about the industry or field that you're in. So I learned something new. There's a certified nonprofit professional certification. There's a certified fundraising executive certification. I'm looking at them and involved, but it's good to know for the future. So when you are deciding what is the right course for me, because ChatGPT or the internet or even your job coach, right? There will be a, a wide array of information and courses that you have the option to do. And it should only align with your industry and your professionals and the skills that you would like to build more, but also fit into what you realistically have time, right? It's about to do what you have time to do and what will help you the most during your job search. And I think the second one, the time you have, is really important because oftentimes, at least for myself, I know I have really big goals, and if it's not realistic, I get frustrated with myself. So that yourself what a real or each week to dedicate to this course or certification. And maybe you have, let's say, course, but you have time for a you want what you need and what is actually realistically possible. In general, or you may already know, you have the courses that are more short term and they require a minimal amount. Have homework, some of them don't. Some of them are strictly videos, and other ones have an assignment component, as I mentioned. And then secondly, we have certifications, which typically take a longer time and require also more effort and time on your part. How a globe can support you in this decision making, and not just the decision, but also the process. I would recommend, as I mentioned before, that you go into your conversation with the job coach with a list of clear questions from the research you have already done. And their role is to provide guidance. And so the more specific question that you have, the further you will get in, let's say, getting useful information. I think that my experience as a coach, sometimes people would come and ask, what should I study to get a job faster or easier? And of course, we station no problem, and we can make a way to more specific areas, but um, it saves time and will, as I said, get you, I would say, better information if you already know some things before you ask that question. So instead of that question, you could ask, based on my understanding of the key skills of, let's say, a project manager, I'm considering taking the Agile Scrum training course. Do you know of any similar courses, or what is your experience? Have other job seekers taken this course? So you want to, of course, feel free to have any kind of conversation you want about this topic, but and have done some research that you can also beforehand. So how can we stay motivated? So let's imagine you have started your online course and you are really motivated the first few days, and then, other priorities come into place. The job search as well as learning online can be very isolating. It's an activity that you're doing alone. And it's an activity that requires a lot of self motivation and a lot of self discipline. And so sometimes joining a community can help support in your motivation. And you are all already part of the global community. So, feel free to be in touch with other job seekers, either through our English Conversation Club or our LinkedIn group, sharing information, sharing resources. We also have a Telegram group, which many of you are part of. So, what are some additional things you can do now? Maybe they want to connect you to a volunteer. Maybe, there are practical ways that you can use that skill to boost your experience even more. Maxim, I hope you don't mind. I used your profile as one example. Just a few examples of what it looks like when you create a post to your LinkedIn profile announcing certification. So in this case, someone finished a Coursera Google Project course on project management, and this was the text that they shared. I've officially been one of the 1.5 million graduates of the course. And, this is, I believe, an option when you complete your course within Coursera. Correct me if I'm wrong. And Maxim also had shared, his Coursera milestone and the name of the certification. So this is a great way to share with your network, to also for yourself track, right? Because it's hard to keep track of things. Like you can, okay, I did this, I finished, I have it uploaded. And as I said, we enjoy seeing that as well. We want to cheer you on along the different steps of your job search process. As I said, adding them to your profile as well. Here are examples from my LinkedIn. So you can see the name of the certification or license, the issue date, which will be required, and then you have the option to upload the PDF as well as add in what skill was that centered around. In this case, the skill was project management. And that helps also for a recruiter, for instance, to check, okay, what is the knowledge that you have around different skills. And in addition, adding the new skills that you have learned to your skills section also on LinkedIn. So a quick summary, right? In addition to those LinkedIn indicators, you would also want to integrate your skills into your updated CV, especially on the top section where you have key skills and the technology tools. If you are applying to positions that are very technology centered, or there's certain programming languages or certain tools that you have now gained practice or knowledge in, be sure to go back to your CV and add them in. You can also, I talked already about LinkedIn, you can also create additional talking points for your interview preparation after you have completed courses. So try to think about, if depending on the positions you apply for, if there is a question related to a skill set that you have some lesser experience or some weakness in, be sure to mention the course that you took to balance out that deficiency or weakness. And as I said before, I would recommend in for your own motivation, for your own progress and well-being, to take a moment. And I know this can be challenging, but take a moment and give yourself credit. Each time you complete a course, or even each time you sign up for a course, right? You are making a small step in your learning progress. You are improving your language skills, you're improving your professional skills, right? So give yourself that pause to give yourself credit and pat yourself on the back for the time and effort that you are taking to be a learner. So I talked earlier about using groups and associations for guidance about potential useful trainings or useful information that can guide your decision of which courses to take online. And I'm going to give you just the example of HR groups and associations, so that you get a sense. Like, there are so many, and there's just so much information out there. And for instance, right, if you went to Human Resources Professionals Worldwide, there's a LinkedIn group. And in that LinkedIn group, there's a chat. And in the chat, if you scroll through, right, there might be people who have similar questions than you. And so becoming part of these communities or associations will, right, enhance your knowledge about the industry or field. And at the same time, I hope give you guidance on what are specific skills and specific, maybe even certifications that would be useful for you. So definitely research that. Ask your job coach, are they aware of groups or associations within your industry? Another example here is for the supply chain or procurement purchasing industry. Again, just to show you that each industry has very different sets of resources that you can explore. So for instance, here we have a Council of Supply Chain Management Professionals. They provide up-to-date news, professional development, networking opportunities. And so this would be a good, website and an organization to be aware of. In addition, here, let's say this networking and news site has also information about the most relevant professional development and training courses. So if you can find those sites and those groups that, will keep you up to date, I think it would be, a very helpful thing to follow. Education, this is more general, but many of you already know about Coursera. Maybe you don't know yet about Skillshare, really great website, online learning community that has a lot of different courses that you can choose from. Same thing with Open Culture. They have a large selection of open source, free educational and media online material. So part of it is also knowing about the different online platforms and deciding for yourself, right? Which one is the best? Coursera has, for many industries, many of these platforms cross different industries. But some have a more specific leaning towards one industry. And here I wanted to give you an example of, certain certifications or technologies that would help to guide your decision making. In this case, this is for a network systems admin and help desk professional. So very specific, right? But this is exactly what I want you to do is to get as specific as you can. Um, and in this case, right, there are a lot of technologies to know. It doesn't mean in this case you have to know all of them. But for each, let's say, subsector of the industry, for the help desk support person, right, these are potentially certifications that would be useful in increasing this person's marketability or employability. And so, right, you want to get an understanding of for yourself what are those. And once you have found out, let's say, the top ones, then you can continue to the next step of finding where they exist, which learning platform will you be choosing. Here is another example for a person who is in the administration industry. And, also just a quick breakdown of what different types of categories of jobs there are, because as I mentioned earlier, we have to identify not just the industry, but the job type, because that will help refine which kind of skills you are needing to focus on. So in this case, right, the administration positions often look for professionals with strong multitasking skills, attention to detail, interpersonal and organizational skills. Those are all very, let's say, soft skills, right? So I would say it's not impossible, but it's less popular to take the courses based on soft skills. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't. But for instance, if you said, okay, I really want to work on my software knowledge of, I don't know, Excel, like I need to increase my Excel skills and speed, then, right, you can go ahead and do your search within Coursera or other platforms, Udemy, what kind of Excel courses are there? And then when you have finished it, right, the integration point would be to update that on your CV, update your LinkedIn to market that new high level of Excel. Another example here is for marketing, advertising, and media and journalism. Um, Specifically, they have specifically, there's a different website, right, that I would recommend for those individuals. It's called Media Math, and it offers videos and resources that are more related to digital marketing and advertising. And right, again, this is just an example, but it shows you that, depending on your focus, you will have a different array of options. Another example here, and this is true for other professions as well, but for instance, if you're looking within this field for a position that's less technical, right, you might want to consider pursuing a project management professional certification, PMP. And right then your research trajectory will go into finding what options for PMP are there. What is the length of the course? How much does it cost? Another quick example for someone in the science industry, we have Coursera, we have edX, we have Google Scholar, we have Skillshare. So exploring the different options again. Same thing here for someone in IT. I would recommend other options such as Code Academy or a agile Scrum training that is really zeroing in on the key skills for someone in IT. And you're more than welcome, once I share this slide deck, to read into detail if any of these are your industries, or if you don't see your industry, to ask me or your coach for specific examples or guidance. But here, right, you will also see some familiar platforms, Coursera, Udemy, and some new ones. For instance, W3 School is specifically focused on SQL. And I do want to add a quick note that some of these courses are not free, because aside from the courses on this next slide, these are not all of our partners. So it could be that you come across a course or a certification that is a very good fit for you, but there is a cost attached to it. In that case, unfortunately, Upwardly Global cannot provide any assistance. But, I would say if you really want to do it and you're clear of the advantage, see it as an investment in your future. And if not, if it's just too much of a financial burden, to consider free alternatives. It might not be, it will not be the equivalent maybe, but possibly on Coursera there is something in terms of the topic that is similar, but it comes at no cost to you. So take some time to explore those options. And then I want to remind everyone, and I hope you know already, I hope this is old news, that all of these platforms are offered to you for free as a participant of this program. Here is the document. I will also put it in our chat. But we have a partnership with, Microsoft, with Salesforce, with Splunk, with Coursera, with Udemy Business, with Cisco Systems, or Cisco, excuse me, with EF, where you all mostly did your English assessment. And then through our partnership with FRSI, which is in Poland, we have their whole, access to different platforms. And if you're more interested in learning, also in practicing your Polish, FRSI has great courses that are in Polish. And I do recommend that you explore those options as well. So we are at time. I'm very sorry I had to go quickly because of our time that we lost in my bad internet connection. But I would love to take any questions that you all have related to online learning, related to what I have shared, and feel free to unmute yourself.